Hey there, this is your pal Pally, and welcome back to Git Er Raid. Warlords of Draenor beta testing heats up with some Mythic mode bosses. What can we do to a complicated encounter like Koragh to make it worthy of Mythic? Let's throw some more Expel magic debuffs and make the soaking even more critical. If you haven't watched my guide to this fight on Heroic, please take a look at that first, as I'll be referring to the mechanics in there a lot. As always, mechanics can change from the time a fight is beta tested to when it is actually released live. So, yep, there is another Expel magic mechanic on this fight to add to the 4 that are already there in this encounter from Heroic mode. This one is called Expel Magic Fell, and it isn't too bad to deal with. Basically, the boss will put this debuff on 3 random raid members, and after 12 seconds, wherever those raid members have moved to, there will be a line of Fell energy created. The line persists for a minute and a half, and will hurt you if you stand in it. The most basic way to handle this mechanic is to have the afflicted raid members try to stand still, and then just as it is expiring, run away from the center. This should leave just a little pile of Fell energy with maybe a small line. That's the theory anyway. If you have to move for other mechanics, such as the boss targeting you for suppression fields or whatever else, you of course should move, but try to minimize the movement. The other changes for Mythic mode comes in the form of the soaking of overflowing energy and the charging of caustic energy. Many little tweaks here. First off, a beneficial one. You are now allowed to have 2 players soaking the caustic energy and gaining a shield per recharge phase. That's a really good thing, because on Mythic, the overflowing energy comes down at a faster rate. Not necessarily it coming down from the air faster, but more spawns happen more often. So you definitely need to take advantage of this change and get 2 people some huge shields in the first recharge phase. The last mechanic for Mythic is also in the realm of the shield and soaking stuff, and I don't have footage of this, but watched it happen on a few streams. Basically, anyone who has a shield from the recharge phase can get mind controlled by Imperator Marduk. The raid has to DPS these people down to 20% so that it breaks the mind control. During the MC, those people will also try to cast Forfeit Power and take 5% off their own shield and give it to the boss. That cast is interruptible, so be sure to keep people ready to stop it. It seemed like you rarely saw this cast, but stay on top of breaking the mind controls and it shouldn't be an issue. All that said, the heart of this encounter is still there. You are still going to need to watch out for all of the Expel magic mechanics as they are unchanged. So Frost will be a big hit, Shadow will be a big healer mechanic, and Arcane is still the tank swap mechanic. Fire and Fell now both sort of force you to spread out some during the respective times. And of course, suppression fields are as deadly as ever, so watch if the boss is looking at you funny, and get to moving if you are ranged or a healer. So how does this set up strategy-wise? Not all too different from Heroic. You now have to designate more people to do the soaking of the shield, but you can't do too many or else you're going to have a hard time breaking the mind controls out. But as the fight goes on, you'll have more and more overflowing energies coming down quicker, so it's a balancing act. If I had to guess at this point, I would say you should lust at the start to break his shield once, then get 2 people charged up as much as possible with big healing cooldowns. After that, maybe only 1 person should be added per recharge phase, and maybe one of the original soakers should recharge their own shield along with that new person. I didn't get to the point where we had the second recharge phase. That's just how I feel based on how the fight was going up until that point. We'll see how all of this turns out on live. Beyond that, really, this is Mythic mode, so deal with the Heroic mechanics in the proper way and bring the big heals and deeps. Oh, one last note. It was reported that the volatile anomalies were wrecking tanks. I'm not sure if that was a tank tuning problem or the intended mechanic. If intended, you would probably need the tanks to split picking them up and try to root or stun the adds in the suppression fields to keep the tanks alive. That's all for this guide on Koragh Mythic Highmaul. Tanks, do your normal swapping for Expel Magic Arcane. Healers, watch for the big raid damage bursts like on Heroic. DPS, steer clear of the raid for both Fire and Fell like everyone else. Also, watch for breaking the mind controls. And Caustic Energy Soakers, keep it up as your job just got a little bit more important and complicated. Thanks for watching, and as always, please comment, like, and or subscribe to the video if you found it helpful, and have a good one!